Welcome to the Glow Getters podcast. My name is Fahey-Ahrndt, and I'm your host. I teach and inspire leaders to step into their productive selves and find their true potential. I'm a passionate creative and scientist with over 8 years of healthcare leadership experience. At age 25, I stepped into my first management role and didn't find the leadership advice I was looking for. So here I'm giving you the tools to end burnout and enjoy a vibrant career and life. Glad you're here to learn and grow with me. Now, on with the show. Hey Glow Getters, welcome to the Glow Getters podcast. My name is Kayla and I'm your host, and I'm excited you're here for day 2 of the hashtag May Morning Takeback series. That's a 5-day series. If you haven't listened to episode 1 on this series, that's all about planning. It came out yesterday if you're listening to this on the day this podcast launches. Otherwise, it's the episode right before this, episode 36. So make sure you go back and listen to that. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back one more episode to episode 35 and learn all about this hashtag May Morning Takeback series as I'm taking you through basically my morning routine to help you figure out what works for you to set yourself up for a successful day. So success looks different for everybody, but I find, and I have found through many different times, especially now with COVID going on, that these things are the tried and true things that have helped me remain consistent, help me still see success in my day, even if it means I'm going to rest for that day, but still daily practices I do every day that keep me mentally and physically strong. So without further ado, let's dive on into this topic for day 2. Today's topic is gratitude. So gratitude feels like kind of a trendy thing, which it's totally not, and I'm going to talk more about that. And it also feels like a buzzword. So let me just clarify a little bit for you. What is gratitude? So I found this really nice white paper prepared by the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkley. And they talked about the few different ways that gratitude is defined. And they talked about the first way being a process, and it has 2 steps. The first step is gratitude is recognizing that one has obtained a positive outcome. And secondly, it's recognizing that there is an external source for this positive outcome. So right away when I read that, I was like, oh, external source, interesting. I've always thought of gratitude as something that comes from within. But you'll see as we go through this, the reasons that you're going to list for being grateful each day, so I'm going to talk more about that, are often related to things that are happening outside of you. But it can totally be things that are happening inside of you as well. It's essentially recognizing those things and calling attention to them. The paper also talked about how gratitude is a trait, a mood, or an emotion. And so most people talk about gratitude as being an emotion. And so that's kind of the focus that white paper took. It talked about how gratitude is rooted deeply and embedded into our evolution, our brains, our DNA, and our development as children. So it's not this trendy buzzword that we're all of a sudden hearing about it. It's just that there's more studies related to it, and there's a lot more studies to be done, but people think that just our disposition goes all the way to our DNA and how we've evolved over time. So I find that really interesting. But the cool thing is about gratitude is even if you are a more positive person or maybe more grateful, just, in general, you can train your brain to be more grateful and to feel more gratitude by doing certain practices. So I'm going to talk about that. So some of the benefits of gratitude, this paper talked about it improves people's health and encourages them to adopt healthier habits. I mean, why wouldn't we want to do that, right? One reason I started gratitude journaling, which is what I'm going to talk about, is because I found that other really successful people were doing this. People like Rachel Hollis or top coaches in my network. They were doing this and they're having success and they were focusing on the positive things. And I've heard this quote that talks about what you focus on grows, right? So if you're focusing on the positive, you're going to be able to see more positive. And, this is a healthy habit. It's only going to make me want to be better, right? Secondly, more grateful people are more generous and helpful. That's really interesting. More grateful people are happier, more satisfied with their lives, less materialistic, and less likely to suffer from burnout. This is right from that paper. Also, I found really interesting, they talked about gratitude in relation to medical and psychological challenges. So there was a study that found that more grateful cardiac patients had better sleep, less fatigue, and lower levels of actual cellular inflammation. At the cellular level, gratitude affects how we are at our cellular level. I mean, I think that's just the coolest thing, right? And it just makes you think so much of this is mindset. Another found that heart failure patients who kept gratitude journal for 8 weeks were more grateful and had reduced signs of inflammation afterwards. Again, inflammation, like this is so interesting. I just think it's just wonderful when we can integrate science and medical learnings into our daily disciplines every day to know that we can be healthier by practicing mindset shifts, right? Several studies have found that more grateful people experience less depression and are more resilient following traumatic events. They're able to pull the good out of it. Studies have found that gratitude practices like keeping a gratitude journal or writing a letter of gratitude can increase people's happiness and overall positive mood. So that's where I want to start today. I want to talk about gratitude in terms of what I do every morning, what small daily discipline that I do to practice gratitude to train my brain to see the happiness. I think it's super important. I've always thought of myself as a super positive optimist, right? But I think there's so much media coming at us every day, from social media, Instagram, Facebook, all of these things, work, the news, that even really positive people like myself need to have some kind of filter or lens to look through these things, right? And so if I can give myself a practice where I physically and mentally make space to focus on the good and call it out, I'm more likely to remember it than in trying to like filter all this information in real time. So what I do is each morning, after I get up, right? So last episode we talked about you uh, go to bed on time so you can wake up when your alarm goes off. You have a wake upable alarm, right? I heard from some of you you also use the ringtone summit. Love it, love it. So you wake up, you don't hit snooze, you picture your feet hitting the ground. Mine enter my slippers and up I go, and I have my glass of water and my Energize, and I sit down. And I write a few things I'm grateful for every day. So 3 to 5 things. So just wanted to let you guys know that if you haven't snagged the hashtag May Morning Take Back PDF, it's free. It's available on the show notes and on my website. I created it for you guys to help you get started. You don't need this. You can use a piece of paper, however you want to do it, but I think it's a helpful tool. What you do is you want to start by writing at least one thing you're grateful for each day. So this task should take you like 5 minutes or less. Even writing 3 to 5 things a day should take you 5 minutes or less, maybe 10 minutes max. So you can get, really surface level with this stuff, or you can go really deep. So let me let you know what I mean by that. So you, if you can't think of something, super significant, you could say something like, I'm so grateful for the beautiful sun that's shining because it's been rainy all week. It's just what I needed, right? To me, that is so important to recognize and to notice beautiful things in nature, but maybe a little bit more surface level than like reflecting on how somebody treated you the previous day and how it made you feel loved, right? And so you can really name anything. I feel like as you first start, you might feel like there isn't much coming to mind, right? And you can maybe only name the things that are in your purview or front of mind right now, like things you can physically see. But after you practice this day after day, you'll have many things to share and be able to physically and mentally notice how you feel better after doing this. So for me, I found if I wake up on the wrong side of the bed, even finding one thing each day that makes me feel lighter and makes me feel, finding one thing that makes me feel grateful, makes me feel lighter and brighter and just better overall. There are times when I wake up like, oh, I don't really want to do today. I think it's important to know like a lot of people, probably everybody has that same feeling. But I always force myself, okay, let me just, think and reflect about yesterday or this morning and how things went. And even if I'm in a bad mood or angry or something like that, I can always pull out something. And then I seem to let go of all those negative things and I focus on what's really, really good. So I found this consistently reminds me of the great relationships I have with my husband, my daughter, my close friends and family. Even if you're, quarreling with your spouse or a friend, if you actively say, okay, I'm like having a negative experience with them, let me call it something good. about that person, that helps so much, right? Like to see the positive in somebody over time, rather than focusing on the negative, that's super powerful. So, um, I practice this by writing in my notebook. I use a planner. It's actually a digital planner every day. I actually use the Holly Hillier digital planner, but I also have like random notebooks and stuff like that. So the tracker, the way that it works is the one that I've created for you guys, the hashtag May Morning Take Back PDF. It has a space on the left to write one thing a day that you're grateful for a week. And each day, as you accomplish this task, you check off the box. So, tracking everything you do is really important because it gives you real time feedback about how you're doing and also allows you to look back at your week and see how you did. Oftentimes we go through our lives and we're like, what did we do? Did it really amount to anything? But if you're working on a goal to have a better, more successful morning, and you can see that you've done those daily practices, even if they seem small or insignificant, you're going to feel so empowered at the end of the week. So I highly encourage you to do this. And you'll find yourself not wanting to miss a day because you want to check the box. But don't just go through the motions. Actually dig deep and write down something you're grateful for, or start small and notice small things that bring you joy. So, similar to writing in my journal, I found myself wanting to share my gratitude with others and let them know how grateful I am for them for something they did or how they acted or what they said. So, if you express gratitude or like thank somebody for something they did, it's going to reinforce that behavior. And you'll in turn receive even more because you've given them your gratitude. So I think about like as a leader, I'm a manager. If I notice someone doing something good, I catch them doing good, say, it would be, really sad if I didn't make the time to thank them for that or reach out to them and let them know I noticed that they're doing a great job, because it's going to reinforce that behavior and they're going to do it again. And in turn, they're going to have better, bigger results for themselves, and it's going to make everybody happy. Similarly, for your kids or your spouse, if you notice they did something good, express how grateful you are to them. I told my husband the other day, like, oh, it was so nice when you made breakfast the other day. And then he did it again. And I was like, wow, like it matters. He realized that it was important to me. So I feel like it's something that we can integrate into our lives. Once we start noticing these things as we journal, we can actually share our appreciation out loud for other people. So there you have it. Practice by writing one thing you're grateful each day for the rest of this challenge through next Sunday, and check off the box once you've completed it. So there's been a great deal of research on gratitude, but there's still a lot more to come. But I know this is that it all points to a more positive mindset and also a more healthy, fulfilling life. So why wouldn't we want to track that? All right. Thanks so much for listening. I'm excited that you're still here for the 5-day hashtag May Morning Take Back series. And I can't wait for you to join me tomorrow so we can talk all about the books that I read in the morning, personal development, and all the learnings that I can share with you about how you can get your morning to be the most successful for a wonderful day. Okay, guys, thanks very much. Talk to you soon.
All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to the Glow Getters podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave me a good rating and review on iTunes. It really helps me get this podcast in front of other people. If you'd like to connect with me, please follow me on Instagram at Kayla Fahey-Ahrndt. And you can always check out my website for more content, blog posts, and recipes at glowgetterslife.com. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.